looks like we got a new friend!
Thank you for the raid, everyone. Good morning. We'll be with you in just a moment. Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to Dark Tides and Whispered Hearts. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. So Elric, thank you very much for the raid, and welcome, Sir Elric, and I assume his knights, what do you refer to your people as? I mean, there must be something, right? I imagine you all coming in on a round table. Before we go around and say hello to everyone, let's go through some things. Sorry to hear about your power issues. First of all, check out our social links. If you're not already, get over on our Discord, Twitter, and YouTube. Discord is the home of our community, a wonderful place where we all look out for each other. Twitter can send me a DM and I'll get you in a game. It won't be this game, but it could be a game very much like it. And YouTube, if you've missed the last 3 episodes, you can go and catch up with them on YouTube. And 4 episodes, 4, 3, 4, I don't know. Hopefully we'll fix that in post. Yeah, go and check it out. Go and catch up. Also, thank you very much everyone for retweeting the tweet. I'll get the link in chat so that you guys can carry on doing that for us. Also, check out our sponsors. You might have seen the minis on the way in. The minis are Hero Forge minis. They have hundreds of parts, thousands of combinations, and they have a new Kickstarter coming out, I think, next week. Get excited, everyone. Full color character printing. You can put all the characters on before you print, and print your character in full color. I've seen some of the preview stuff. It looks so hype. But I'm not going to go too much detail into it because I know they haven't done the full release yet. This is only the light release. So just get your hype to a gentle simmer. That'd be great. Also, check out the Deck of Many. The Deck of Many made the wonderful Deck of Many Things. What am I going to draw today? Hey, the gem. The Deck of Many Things, animated, moves to animate your spells. You can also get spell cards from cantrips all the way through to level 9. They're fantastic. Great assets. Also, they made the Humblewood campaign, which is a 5e expansion, which allows you to play as birds and many out. They have my favorite thing in that book is the cleric, what do you call the cleric stuff? The cleric thing, you know, the like grave cleric, that sort of thing. What do you call them? Subdomain? Subdomain. The cleric subdomain.
I just know it lets me live my good owl life if I want to.
Yes. Yeah. The cleric subdomain. The domain of the community. That is my favorite thing about that book. Check it out. It's great. Also, check out Mage Hand Press. Mage Hand Press is your one-stop shop for all kinds of 5e expansions, including pirate expansions. If you check us out on Mondays, we're currently playing through a cowboy expansion. But also, most recently, they released the Dark Matter book, which is space play in hardback. It's got races, classes, backgrounds. It's got ship combat. It's got an expanded spell list, equipment. It's essentially a second PHB. In fact, I'm fairly sure you could use it in place of a PHB if you're running a space campaign. Go and check it out. It's available in hardback now. If you use my special code up in that link there, you can get 15% discount, which is, I think, $7.50. Significant discount. Let's go around and say hello to everyone, starting with my wonderful wife and the awful C herself. Fabs, thank you so much for those biddies. Let us know if you want to give someone an advantage. Alice!
Hello, I am the awful C. Hi, I'm Alice. I'm also White Rabbit Pick on Twitter. I am your DM for the day. What else do I do? I DM later. I DM regularly on this channel as well as being a player. I also have a Patreon for my photography if you want to head over there and check it out. There's a lot of stuff coming out from HackU over there and more projects to come. Otherwise, let's head round and say hello to everyone. Let us know what you do and who you're playing today. And we're going to start with very lovely Rachel. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Oh, I'm so excited for today's game. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah, I am severely looking forward to creeping Wire out some more. That was fun. Looking forward to Survival 101 on a deserted island, which is great. I get to draw on all my childhood obsession knowledge because, you know, when you're about 7, you are convinced that being stranded on a desert island is a much bigger threat than it actually turns out to be later in life. So
that's genuine fear I had at that age. I don't know if it's because I grew up on an island. I was like, well,
prepared,
it's
okay. I had all the knowledge, and we're gonna make use of that today. So yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm playing Lamorna, who is the group Strider, which is kind of like the ranger, I suppose. Who is also the creature archetype, which is a lot of fun and no one knows yet, so we'll see how long that stays a secret.
James is fine. I think James has an inkling, but he's too terrified to actually say anything.
Either it'll be fine or I'm gonna get shot.
Yeah, one or the other. I will say Matt will be joining us in a bit. Definitely go check out Matt. He does some wonderful video stuff and things like that. He also has his own channel that he streams on. Please go check him out. Otherwise, let's move on and say hi to General.
Hello.
Who has just been gifted an advantage from chat.
Oh, thank you. Poor Shepherd can totally use it. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so looking forward to Shepherd like putting the pieces together in his own sort of warped way, because I'm the true believer, and I have a way of he has a way of looking at things that maybe nobody else looks at things that way. So I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, I stream on Featherfall Tabletop a lot, and I run games there, and it's cool and it's fun. And yeah, I'm so excited. It's gonna be so fun. That's me.
Awesome, wonderful. And last but certainly not least, Scratticus. I'm not starting to say it like Madame Gandalf, so I need to stop doing that 'cause it's weird.
Hello, I'll be playing Douglas Lackland today. He's a wee lad from Scotland. He's here to have some fun. That's not quite his voice actually, because his voice is a bit more beef bridey. There we go.
Hey, you did go Russian for a moment.
I did. I did for a second there. I went Russian. It's a difficult one. I didn't do my pitch pipeline before I started talking, so it took me a second there. But Douglas, he's a chef, and he's looking for Swedes on this here desert island.
The vegetable, not the people,
There
just
are
so
no
everyone is
Swedes
clear. Unless someone donates for Douglas to find a Swede.
If I had a Swedish accent, I would have messaged you and been like, please, oh please.
So, one thing I will say also about the donations for this game is that it's not a wild magic surge or anything like that. We can get someone to roll from the beyond and something weirdy happens. So we'll look to that. Otherwise, we last left Lamorna and Wyatt walking back through the woods towards camp. And Lamorna, you can see this fire that has been set up, and you leave the forest's edge and you're back on that beach. You can hear the sea. It's very calm. You can hear it lapping up against like the almost like the shingle, and you can feel the warmth very quickly as you see Douglas and Shepard. Douglas looks wet again. You're not too sure why. James is asleep, tucked up.
Still haven't got dressed yet.
I don't know, Douglas, did you get dressed yet? Or are you just soggy?
I would have done if
Oh, good.
after the shenanigans in the sea and everything. I imagine my clothes are quite dry, and I'm really only naked for functionality rather than anything else. To be honest, there's no use wearing wet clothes. You just catch cold.
And Lamorna, you can see Douglas and Shepard. Are you being quiet about approaching, or?
No, I don't think so. At this point, the weird singing that we heard is long since faded, so I think we're just approaching as normal. I'm probably, if anything, not hurried, but walking quite briskly to make sure everyone back at camp's okay.
You've got a dog that's not barking around you, but you hear that sort of like that rumble that they do, the sort of the muffled barks that don't quite become a bark. And Shepard and Douglas, James is completely asleep. You can see him almost snoring away, like he's slowly rolled over and obviously very comfortable. But you do hear the heavy footsteps of Wyatt and Lamorna sort of trudging through the sand as they approach.
I think I'm carrying the bundled up waxed coat, but we've kind of filled with water. So I'll probably kind of hold it out. Shepard, there's a pool a little way into the woods, fed from a waterfall. The water seems clean and drinkable. Obviously, it's a little bit of a trek, and we don't particularly have any canteens or canisters, but we brought what we could back with us for now.
Good find. Good find. Is there no way to make camp up there maybe tomorrow?
Potentially, although I'm not sure. There's something odd about those woods. The trees, the plants, they're not right. It's as if this place has been what would you say if I said that this forest, it feels almost as if it's someone's garden. The trees are planted the same distance apart. They're all healthy. It's very uniform. It's not natural per se. And there's also this, and I show the little kind of tin that we found, which had there was a little written excerpt in there, wasn't there? And a couple of guineas.
Yes,
and
the excerpt wasn't necessarily fully readable. But
no, we read bits of it, I seem to recall. Or did we? I can't remember. But I open it and kind of show it to Shepard.
I'll take a look. I think I remember the excerpt. But I'll give it a read if I can.
Yeah, you can give it a read. And again, it's so illegible. Like, it's like maybe there was a leak at some point and the ink got wet. You can see a lot of it's been like streaming and running. And you hold this book in your hands, and it is leather bound. But you can see some very coarse string that has held it together. It's very. You can see where maybe it was in salt at some point, because definitely the first few pages are rigid, and you're pretty sure if you bent them too far they'd snap. But the pagings are very, very yellowed. Excuse me, they're very, very yellowed. And there's a section where it is readable. I say readable. You can see all the lettering where maybe it once was, where you can flick through these pages. This feels very, very old. And thank you for those 10 retweets. So could you please roll a beyond for me, please? Okay. It is going. It's
sorry
just,
about that.
No, it's good.
I wasn't trying to use advantage there. I just couldn't hear it roll.
It doesn't, sometimes it doesn't load fully, so, I wouldn't worry. You sort of flick through this diary, effectively, and It is very worn, it's very old. In fact, you're looking at it and almost surprised at the workmanship on it. It's not like something you'd have in modern day. This seems it's very well put together. You can see it was very loved. It's very dogged at the side. And you see a name at the back as you flick through. Like it's just been it looks like someone's taken a quill or a pen or something and tried to scratch their name into the leather because the ink hasn't showed up. And you see the name Ellen at the back of the book.
It's really hard to hide my reaction. But there's probably a moment of...
Yeah, look, Lamorna and Douglas, you'll probably see that this is the only really readable thing in here, Shepherd, because it's scratched into the leather.
Do we notice this reaction?
I'd say so. If Shepherd, if you're not trying to hide it and you think there would be an obvious jolt, you're all in close proximity to each other.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have even thought to try to hide it, really.
Mm.
So yes, there was a moment of Lamarna, would you mind terribly if I held on to this?
No, by all means. Can you actually read it?
No, not really. No, not really. I just, if you wouldn't mind.
No,
I'm just gonna.
Of course.
Just gonna hold on to this. Okay. And I'll put it in, you know, maybe if there's an inner pocket of my pea coat or somewhere that I can put it to hold on to it.
Yeah, it's not like a big diary journal. It literally fit in this box. It was, again, looking at the binding, you could probably tell it was handmade, hand sewed, all the way around. And it's probably coming up to early hours of the morning, and you can see the sky is almost completely black, like this very dark navy blue. The moon itself, you can see these very smoky like clouds drifting in front of it, blocking out the light, really. You can see it give this funny haze over the water, this very silvery haze. There are stars dotted all over in the sky, almost like little fireflies sort of like picking out. And otherwise, the only real light you have right now is this fire that is slowly dying. You do have a pile of wood, so you can add to it if you want to keep it going, but you can see it slowly starting to fade.
I'll stoke it up a little bit. I don't want James getting cold.
Yeah. You can sort of start putting on some of the wood and the sticks and things like that to start fueling these flames. And when I say early hours, it's probably like 1:30, 2 a.m. You can probably tell by the timing and everything. But the only things you can really hear is the ocean itself, which is very gentle. There is no song, but there are crickets. Not loudly, but you can definitely hear, like, you know when there's like one or two and you're like, and you can hear it somewhere.
Shepherd, if you don't mind awfully, I might grab a few hours sleep. It's been a long day and we swam a long way to get here.
Please take some rest. Let's get James some of that water.
Yes, he hasn't drank for a long time.
Yeah, and then definitely take some rest. I can stay awake.
If you, this might sound a little odd. If you hear anyone singing, please wake me up.
Well, about that, now that you mention it, there was a little bit of strangeness on the wind. And we also possibly saw a ghost.
You saw a ghost?
Well, its footprints, Douglas followed it.
I followed it down the beach there, and it went and stood in the water and looked at me. It was a wee bit strange, I won't lie.
Oh, what did they look like?
That's a good question. Did I ask you for a detailed description last week, Alice?
It was sort of, the way it was really described was a fairly classically good-looking man. There was no real features that made them stand out. They had a sort of soft brown hair, and You knew they were, when you saw them specifically, you saw them up to their waist in the water. However, when you tried to get out there, the sea
Alright.
level dropped.
So there they are, right? Standing in the sea of all places, up to their waist. I cannot see below their waist. You know, sort of like your tall, dark, handsome affair with the dark hair and all of that. It's
Well, now we know your type.
Diesel. Anyway, as I started trying to approach him, he just woof. He did a wee shifty on me.
What was he wearing?
Not a lot.
Oh,
More than Douglas, but not a lot.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't see below his waist, so I guess above the waist, about as much as I was.
I see. Well, if anything like that happens again, do please wake me up.
I will. The time you were off hunting with old Wyatt there.
Yes, we encountered a little bit of strangeness ourselves on the way back.
You're calling it strange?
Why? Was it not strange?
Oh, it was for sure strange. Lamorna here just started talking to nothing at all. Like it was something.
It wasn't nothing at all. We've already established that there has been some light singing heard around camp as well. I was merely trying to make something of the situation.
Listen, there's hearing some singing is one thing, right? But then turn around and saying something. I don't even remember what you said, but it was so clear, like you knew something.
I mean, if I hear somebody singing, I talk to them.
Exactly. See, Shepard has a completely normal and measured response.
That ain't the way we do it back where I'm from.
I
You
merely
just
hope.
ignore people who sing.
Yeah, we just let them sing.
Well, I think
Do you
learned
shoot
something
him by
quite
chance?
important. Well, he nearly
no.
did this time as well.
I didn't nearly shoot nobody. I was just ready to shoot somebody if they needed to get shot. Sometimes people need to get shot, and
They
I'll
sing
be
off
there.
key or, you know.
Sometimes, but I think we did learn something important. The voice, or whoever is responsible for that voice, can hear because it stopped and paused when I tried to communicate with it. I wanted to try and follow it, if possible, to find out where it's going to or coming from, but it faded away before I could do anything. Unfortunately. But if we hear it again, I really think it's worth just taking a moment to think and follow, rather than necessarily react in an extreme fashion.
I mean, you could say that, but then you could also say that we maybe failed to react quite as much as we should have done on the boat. And the boat didn't take kindly to that. Wouldn't you say that's fair? The sea kind of turfed us out.
I still don't think we understand enough yet. I can't help but feel like something wants us here for a reason. I don't know whether we're supposed to do something or end something, or just, I don't know. It's too much to be a coincidence.
Douglas, I need to show you this. And I'll pull out the journal again and flip to the part that says Ellen. And without showing it to Lamorna or Wyatt, I'm going to show Douglas. Do you see that? See
Aye.
that name?
Aye.
You understand? I've told you that name before. Only you. So unless you put this journal here.
It wasn't me, and though I remember the name, I can't say I understand. What's it doing here?
Exactly. But it goes to what Lamorna was saying. I think there's a reason that we're here. Even if I had allowed you to toss that girl overboard, we would have ended up here. There's a reason we're here.
Alright. Don't like it. But I don't mind cooking with a fire. Don't get to do it very often.
Fresh ingredients.
Well, the heat is nice.
Silver lining.
Well, if no one has any objections, I'm going to take a short nap. It's been a very long day. Night.
Are we setting watch?
I've just been grunting this whole time.
The dog has sort of like got itself very comfortable. You can see it up against James, who is asleep. This dog has slowly made its way onto its back. Its little paws sort of like hang loosely in the air. There's this little mutt that's just sort of like scruffily, like every now and then rubbing its, like digging its back deeper into the sand. So, are people taking watch, and who is sleeping?
I can take watch.
Lamorna's quite keen to sleep after carrying an adolescent for a while. I think she slept for since way before that happened.
If Shep's going to volunteer, then I'll take a rest. But I'm just covering up the eyes, leaving the ears open.
I'm not quite tired. Go on.
I'm like Gandalf, except with my ears.
Gandalf is.
He hadn't been written yet in the time period that we're currently in history.
I'll join you for a hot second, Shepherd. I can't get my eyes closed just yet.
I don't blame you. Wonderfly. I want company, so thank you.
Okay. So, Lamorna and Wyatt. Wyatt, with your ears open, you are able to prop yourself up either against a rock or just some of the there seems to be like a large log that is almost using to section off parts which you can prop yourself.
I'd probably be close to the dog.
Yeah, the dog is like very close to James, and you can easily just prop yourself right next to it. And you do notice as you slowly start to drift off, and you nod, this dog shuffles its way from James around towards where you're looking, and it sort of rests its head on your thigh and sort of looks up at you with very sleepy eyes before kind of doing that big yawn and finally falling asleep itself. And Lamorna, you managed to find some form of comfy position, sort of wrap what you have got around you. It's not a cold evening here. It's almost like it's the perfect temperature, and you managed to sort of snuggle down, especially with the warmth of the fire, and head to sleep. And Douglas and the Shepherd, you are effectively on your own as they sleep.
I'm pretty quiet. Just watching and listening.
So, Ellen, huh? Think she was
Yeah.
here?
Makes no sense that she would have been here. There's no reason why she would have left New York. There's no reason why she would have traveled across the sea. I don't know. But when I was trying to get out of the water, I heard a voice. It sort of sounded like hers, and now there's this here. I don't understand it.
Real strange.
This is an old journal too, so maybe it's a coincidence, but
Maybe a relative or something like that. Maybe she had a... I don't know.
or some other person named Ellen. That combined with the voice when I was trying to get out of the water, it just...
Totally weird. How long's it been since you've seen her?
years. Haven't visited in a long time.
Off on the way on the ships, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how things work for us. Pretty well.
Did the, you two got any, like, I don't know, family running around back there?
And there's Anne. Otherwise, we've pretty much gotten them away from family. For the most part.
People looking out for her, though.
Yes. And she's a powerful woman. She can also look out for herself. But she's
Aye, of
definitely-
course, you know. I'm just thinking maybe you could send a letter or something.
If we ever get off this island and I ever get to a place where I can send a letter, that will be my first order of business. Maybe even take a ship back. I don't know. It's been a long time.
Aye, maybe after this kind of adventure, what with us being shipwrecked and everything, it might be time to check in with family. I could go and visit my ma.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe spend a little time off the sea. I can't believe I'm saying that, but a little time off the sea would be nice. She and I, the sea, we think we have some things to work out at this point.
Aye. It's always a losing. I don't know. Arguing with the sea. All it seems very one-sided to me. Well, I usually
One-sided
just
in what
argue with,
sense?
well, in the overwhelming sense.
Hmm.
Well, I usually just argue with soup. Puts up much less of
Soup
a fight.
puts up much less of a fight, absolutely. Arguing with the sea, there's no point. Although I'm sure that you would do it anyway, but there's no point.
I mean, it depends on my mood, to be fair.
To be fair, I probably more often arguing than not arguing, but yes, it depends on the mood, for sure. Very rarely, but yes, for sure. I just, yeah, we lost an argument with the sea, or the sea's trying to make a point, or the sea has plans for us, and nothing that we do is going to prevent it. And that was the point I was trying to make. If the sea wants
Aye.
something, then nothing that we do is going to stop it.
I would like to see our captain, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know you have to follow the sea to some extent, but sailing head first towards anything that could be a siren or any of that sort of thing, you've got to use some caution.
I'd like to see anyone from the crew. We are the only 4 people that I've seen the whole time that we've been here. The entire ship washed up on shore, and we haven't seen anyone else. And either that means that they're all still on the ship and no longer with us, or we're the only 4 on this island.
We'll do a recce tomorrow. Have a good scout of the island. Maybe we'll find something else. Someone else.
Yeah. I do think that Lamorna's plan to follow the voice is a good one, too.
Just remember, I think there is a lesson that we failed to learn there about heeding the call of the siren.
Land siren, not really a thing that I've heard of before.
Just be careful of sweet lullabies, that's all I'm saying.
True. It did put James to sleep. So there's that.
Aye, I just fear for the ones that put you to the kind of sleep you don't wake up from. You know what I mean?
True. I have a feeling that if we try to run from the voice, it doesn't matter anyway. It's gonna follow us. We might as well turn around and face whatever it is than try to hide and avoid it.
Aye, perhaps.
I'm really good at hiding and avoiding, so I'd like to try something different.
Aye. Aye. You want anything to help you sleep tonight?
I wouldn't mind.
I'll take a bottle that has been secreted in my in one of my deep pockets. There's a little whiskey in there. Don't you tell
Thank
anyone
you.
else I've got this, alright?
Oh, yeah. How much is? I could just drink that a whole.
We might be out here for a long time. I'd rather you be sparing.
Okay, I'll just take a few gulps.
Aye.
Let's take a few gulps.
I'll take
Thank
first
you.
watch if you want.
All right. All right. I'll try to sleep.
that whiskey hits the back of your throat, and it doesn't feel like it kicks. It's very warming, like you feel the warmth sort of go down your chest, and it gives you that very sleepy sensation as you slowly drift off to the sound of these waves lapping against the shore and this soft breeze with the crickets in the background. And Douglas, do you wake anyone else up at all, or do you just stay awake?
I'll let them get 6 hours. After 6 hours, if Shepard's still away, then I'll go and quietly put a hand on Wyatt's shoulder. Alright, that cowboy.
I was just snoring very deeply into my hat.
I heard that.
It's not light yet.
No, it's not. I realize that. I just wonder if you wouldn't mind taking the next watch, so perhaps I could get some shitty tea.
Yep, I got it.
Thank you very kindly. As Wyatt gets up, I'm just gonna get into the warm patch that he was sleeping in.
You literally settle yourself into that same, like, the very Wyatt shape in the sand.
Yeah, pull my own hat over my eyes. Ah.
He's got more booty than you expected. So,
You nestle in there quite comfortably.
just a couple cake divots in the sand.
I need to cut down on the extra rations.
Nope, he was just born that way.
And Wyatt, as you wake up, this dog as well sort of moves out of the place where Douglas is now settling himself down and sort of moves with you. Do you stay, do you just move to the other side of the fire, or do you walk, or?
Yeah, I'll stretch my legs, stretch my arms, and get the kinks out my neck. Just look around and see if there's anything about the environment that I am in that is now different from when I had gone to sleep.
You you manage to, as you're stretching, you can see this dog is stretching his legs out as well, almost mimicking exactly what you're doing as you're doing it. And you hear the sea, you hear the breeze, and you hear the crickets. And looking around, after a while, you can see the sun very slowly coming up and just giving you a bit more light and casting it across the island. It now being a very clear day, all the way at the other end of the beach, you can see where the ship, the one that, the chariot where Lamorna said it had been, you can see it sort of wedged in the sand, way in the distance, but you can pick out that shape. You can see the forest behind you, and the sea is calm. There is nothing on the ocean at all. In fact, you can see the light sort of sparkle and dance over the surface as the sun slowly comes up. And it's not a really warm sensation, but you do feel the warmth of the day as it starts to come in. This dog has sort of slowly fallen back asleep again. He'd be a rubbish guard dog if you really wanted him to be one, but he would be an appalling one as he sort of rolls back on his back close by you.
No, he's good. He can rest.
Yeah. And he's getting himself comfortable. But could you roll me a beyond, please?
I will. I will do this thing. Pardon me as I take a moment to think about my predicament that I'm in on this island. And also as I sign into Roll 20. We are making it. We're on our way.
Real good.
So, I think as I'm stretching, I'm just kind of looking around. If I see some kind of target, like a hanging fruit or something, on the outside of the forest, I'm just gonna almost like a baseball pitcher. Look the opposite direction. And then whip out my pistol from the holster. And aim it at the target. Not pull the trigger. So everybody's sleeping. I want to be courteous. Once I feel satisfied that, all right, my reflexes are still there. We're all right this morning. I'm just going to spin it and reholster it.
At the clickers of that, as you pull it out of your out of its holster very, very quickly, you do see the dog sort of stir and then roll back over again. You hear that as he sort of falls back asleep, and you could see that you would have shot that straight off the tree. You have a good eye, and you could see the lineup of the shot. And there's a moment where you lower your pistol, feeling pretty good about yourself. You know, you still got it even after all this nervousness and this shipwreck. You've still got that keen eye. But as you lower it, you hear that singing again, coming from the forest. It's not really loud, it's almost like literally you can hear very softly. And it seems to be moving.
What's the pitch? What kind of pitch we talking about?
It's a very feminine sort of voice. It's not really high, but you can see the dog is stirring from it.
That's what I was wondering, if dog was.
You can see his ears twitching, and then after a while he sort of sits up and looks over in the direction of this tree line, shakes all this sand off of him for a second as you sort of get sprayed by a little bit of it, and stands with his little stumpy legs sort of on this log and looks in the direction, looks back at you, and then looks back to the forest line.
I'm just gonna grunt.
You grunt, and you hear another song, a different one.
A different song.
It's not a voice. This sounds like an instrument, as if playing along, but a completely different song. It doesn't
like
make
a banjo.
sense. It's not a banjo. You don't have to panic there. It sounds almost like a harp.
Something fancy.
A fancy one, yeah.
Okay. So it's got an array of different kind of songs. This music voice that I'm not supposed to shoot.
The harp sort of sounds.
But
to
it is
come
definitely a
from
witch.
Further away. Seems
Okay.
to come from further away. Definitely in the direction of the forest, but it's not as prominent as the singing.
All right. Well, I am a team player. And I don't see anything I can shoot that is immediately harmful. And so I will just stand there and think, do I feel myself becoming not myself? If I wanted to raise my left hand, can I still raise my left hand?
You raise your left hand.
Then I'm just going to let it sing then.
Okay. And it sort of, after a while, it starts to get, it doesn't disappear, but it's as if it's getting further and further away. You can hear it almost like at the back of your mind, that's how sort of quiet it's getting. And soon the rest of you start stirring, because you really feel this rising sun coming up and it really sort of resting on your face, this bright light and the warmth. Who would wake up first out of all of them? Or Wyatt, would you wake them up? Or are you letting them?
Actually, what I would probably do if I heard it starting to go further away, what I would do is it's about time for Lamore to get up. So I will wake her up. I saw her nod in her sleep when somebody said that she had a good idea, and I don't appreciate that. But I will wake her up so things can start moving around and stuff. And I'm just going to let her know that, well, good morning. Lamorna, I'm gonna head into the forest and see if we can get a little bit of breakfast. If you don't mind, just keeping an eye on Douglas and Shep while they're still resting.
Yeah, sure. Be careful out there, right?
Okay, thank you. Come on, Doug. And I will go into the forest to follow the voice.
Okay. Dog is straight at your heels. And Lamorna, you watch Wyatt disappear into the tree line. Lamorna, do you wake the others up? You stay
If
there.
I can't hear any like singing or anything, can I?
You can hear it very, very softly, but it's almost like you question if it's there. It's so softly, because if anything, you can see James coming round, and you just hear that as he sort of stretches. And
I assume it's too soft to work out a direction.
At the moment, yes.
All right, in which case I'll just like very restlessly and with that kind of I want to go. I will just make sure that the fire is still kind of alive, and I'll probably go and check on James, make sure that he's not shivering or like sniffly or like unwell.
No, you see him sort of sit upright. His hair is on end and very much matted with sand. He looks like he slept very, very well as he sits there and is like, oh, where am I? Are we on a beach?
Yes, you're safe. We're just resting a little. Wyatt's gone to find some breakfast.
Oh, so we really did. Yeah.
Yes, that I'm afraid that wasn't a dream.
You can see he looks very disappointed as he sort of like pushes himself up. He stands up for a moment and brushes all the sand off of his shirt and jacket, and where it sort of slowly sort of made its way into the pockets. He's turning out the pockets in the jacket. So, did you let Wyatt go off on his own? Do you want me to go find him?
No, you stay here. I think Wyatt will be alright. Besides, if anything happens, we'll hear the gunshot and I can go running.
Okay.
For now,
what's here?
We're not altogether sure yet. It just seems to be some sort of, as far as we're aware, uninhabited shore. We did find the ship. The ship's just down the beach. We can't sail away in it yet. It needs some repairs.
What, did you see my uncle? The captain?
I'm afraid we haven't found anyone yet, but you could see that as a good thing that we haven't, found anyone yet. But we'll keep looking and just stick close to the rest of us. Don't whatever you do, don't go off on your own. Okay?
No, I'm not going anywhere on my own.
Good, excellent. Well, for now, this will be quite different to being at sea. There's nothing to do immediately, so just relax for once. It's a lovely morning.
I've been asleep. Like, he sort of looks around. He's like, do you want me to get more firewood or?
No, just sometimes the best thing to do after you wake up from a long sleep is just to lounge for a while. Find a nice rock somewhere and you just lie horizontally and enjoy the sun. Or sand. Sand is fine too.
He sort of looks at you and blinks slowly. Okay. And he sort of just goes and sits himself on the... He's fidgeting. You can see him like almost like playing with his fingers, like not really knowing what to do. Every now and then you see him lean down, pick up a stone and sort of, and then throw it aside, pokes the fire for a bit.
I just
He
kind
doesn't
of
really know what he's doing.
I cast an eye over Shepard and Douglas and see if they look close to stirring anytime soon.
I'd say Shepard was more than Douglas. Douglas, do you snore?
No.
This really surprises me.
Stealthy sleeper.
Yeah. No, I just put my head down and make the most of it.
Okay, I'd say Shepard, you probably start to stir first. You can feel that heat on your cheek, if anything. You start to hear Lamorna and James as well.
Give them meditation tips.
You're pretty sure that he almost tripped over you, and you heard a mild panic as he went, but you can slowly start to wake up.
I slowly sit up. Oh. James, you're awake. You're okay.
He's like,
Yeah, but I don't know what to do with myself. I'm not allowed to collect sticks. I gotta relax, apparently.
It's very important sometimes to just be, okay? You don't always need to be doing a job. It's fine.
That's not what my captain said.
Well, he didn't know everything.
Do I
Doesn't.
he
get a
looks
he
mildly
doesn't-
shocked as you say that. He's like,
Doesn't know
Oh.
everything.
He's good with ships, not as much with land. Do I get a sense that Lamorna has like a particular purpose in telling James to relax?
would there be purpose in your voice?
Like if I disagree, am I going to be messing something up?
No,
important?
I think she just generally wants him to switch off for once,
Okay.
rather than being on edge all the time.
Okay. James, we're going to help keep you safe. We're going to try to find people. We've got it covered. Maybe let the adults do it this time.
I'm an adult. I was on the ship and everything.
The older adults. Let the older adults do it this time.
Fine, but if there is something I can do it.
Give it a little bit of time, and then I have some ideas for you. Just rest for a little bit, and then I'll give you stuff to do.
Fine.
And he sort of just plops down in the sand.
Enjoy the sunshine. It's a beautiful day.
He sort of gives you a funny look and just looks out to the sea.
There's definitely an element of Lamorna who's almost not enjoying herself, but definitely deriving some sort of peacefulness from being here.
Anything happen overnight while I was asleep?
Not that I'm aware of. Wyatt was on watch before I awoke. He's headed off into the woods to try and get some breakfast. I assumed out of all of us, we'd probably hear if he got into any trouble.
Maybe whoever goes and searches the coast trying to find survivors. I was going to say maybe they should bring James, but I don't think we want James there if we find anybody washed ashore.
I think as long as James always has someone with him.
Yeah. Maybe whoever goes inland to do anything other than follow the voice takes him with them. I think James is going to start thinking way too much if he doesn't have something to do.
Quite possibly.
And Douglas, it's probably around this sort of time you start to stir. That light is just not letting you rest any longer.
Oh, that stretch was too easy to roleplay. Okay.
Oh, no, you're making me like you're on it.
All right, you on breakfast.
James immediately, what can I do? As he sort of jumps up to his feet.
Well, I don't know, gather sticks or something.
I can do that, and he sort of sprints off, like not far, but like just to where the sort of it starts to get a little bit woody. Not the actual forest, but he's picking sticks up. There is a massive pile of sticks next to the fire, by the way. He's just
Let's just hope Wyatt gets back soon with something edible. Do we have any shells, anything left from last night?
Any
You would have had some things left, I would have said.
I could go on a run for mussels if you like. I saw a pretty good spot down the coast. I could go do a spot of fishing if people want that. Or I could do that for dinner instead if people prefer.
Either's fine by me. Like I said before, I saved a few crates and barrels. Douglas, if you want something a little more familiar.
I didn't really
Cook.
think about it at the time, but perhaps sending Wyatt after breakfast might not have been the best thing. He didn't actually recognize slow berries, so we might come back with something vaguely poisonous.
I reckon if it's Wyatt out hunting, he'll probably end up winging something. He bought back a brace of conies yesterday.
True. That's
I
true.
wouldn't put it past him to try to shoot some berries, though.
If they look at me funny, I mean, that ain't my fault.
Funny looking berries.
That does present an issue in that if I heard a gunshot, I was planning to run after him in case, he was in trouble. But you very, very true. You point out that he could just use it for hunting as well.
I mean, the poor guy obviously wants to shoot things, and I think if we don't let him shoot things while he's hunting, then he might go spare.
Right. Well, I can go and try to spot a fishing just in case, but I can always do that later if there's anything else that needs doing.
Well, other than breakfast, I think the first order of business is to try to find survivors.
Yes, I think you're right. Will we continue up the coast?
I think so. And you didn't go into the ship.
No, we stood on the periphery of the ship, but we didn't properly search inside. It might be worth having a look inside to see what can be salvaged from the galley for Douglas.
I think that's a good
Anything
idea.
we can use to build a more
I'd
sheltered camp.
I'd like to go and have a look through the galley as well, see what survived.
Well, if you like, the two of us could go together, then no one's going off on their own.
Aye, we could do that.
I can
Shall
stay
we
and
wait for
watch
Wyatt to
James.
get back and have some breakfast?
How high is the sun now? How long has Wyatt been away?
Wyatt's only really been away, maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Alright, we're just all really impatient then.
Yeah.
We're hungry.
Give me
It's been a long
food.
night. Yeah.
Well, okay, there's no harm in waiting a bit longer, I suppose.
Although, to be fair, normally we'd only have, like, coffee and biscuits anyway. Maybe they'll be alright, If we can find them and get back before Wyatt, then we've got dinner and breakfast covered, haven't we?
That's true. It's not that far to the ship.
Aye.
Aye.
I can keep James busy.
Did you see him come running back with a pile of sticks?
Well done, James. Well done. We want a big supply so that we don't have to keep looking for sticks every time we make a fire. So
Got
keep
it.
it up.
Drops them and keeps running.
Alright, well, stay safe, you two. We'll be back presently.
All right. Good luck. I hope you find someone.
And Shepard, you watch Lamorna and Douglas. You can see the ship from here. It's just like in the distance. You can see where it's on the corner, so it's not like they're going to be disappearing. And you watch them go, leaving their footprints track in the sand.
I will actually at one point sort of tap
Mhm.
James on the shoulder and point out the ship in the distance. Say, see, our ship survived.
Are they gonna go get the stuff? I
think
can
so.
do that. I can help with that.
Stay here. We really need the wood for the fire, and then if there are other things to do when Wyatt comes back, I'll have you help with that. We don't
Yeah.
really know how safe the ship is, but I just wanted you to see that it's here. We can fix it. We can get off this island.
Oh, I know.
Okay. Just making sure. I want
And he
you
sort
to know
of
here.
smiles. He's like,
We'll always get off the island. We did the last one.
The last one.
Yeah, the sandbank.
Okay, good point. Good point.
And that
We
was
got
a
off the
mist
thing.
and everything there. It's quite sunny here.
It is sunnier. The boat wasn't full of holes, but we did get off the sandbank, so that's a really good point. We will get off of here. We're going to be okay. I'm glad that you're confident.
And then the captain will find us and it'll be all fine.
Yeah. Yeah, he will. He'll find us.
And then we'll have Henry.
and he starts listing off like everyone from the ship. You know,
I'll actually
not by
nod
the
and,
other
like,
one, like David. He's like,
I don't, no, that's mean of me and David.
and like he sort of starts to list it all off.
I actually try to get him talking about the crew members and telling stories about them and laughing. And I even say, no, be mean about David. I want to hear the mean thing. that you were going to say. So I
And-
just try to get him talking.
Yeah, soon he sort of sits there. You see him stop moving as he sort of sits down and starts to tell and share stories.
I'll encourage him, and I'll tell my own stories. Anyone he talks about, I'll like, well, let me tell you this one time that David really like almost fell overboard, and we almost let him.
And Douglas, in the morning, you do hear like a laugh as you slowly sort of disappear, and you see the chariot getting closer and closer. And Wyatt, in the forest, you've had this dog has got his nose to the ground and is sort of like snuffling along. Every now and then stops, looks around, and then keeps going. And soon you find yourself very much back by where the ground got damp again. You recognize this area. There's you can see the trickle of water emerging out of the ground and headed towards the in the same direction as you went yesterday, towards that lagoon. You also remember that there were deer there the day before, and you can see what looks to be a very deer-like shape sort of bounding off in that direction, moving very, very quickly right now. But there's enough light, sort of almost like dappled light coming through these trees, so it's not too dense, too dark. But...
Okay. One thing I want to do then, if I find myself a good maybe like a 1 to 2 inches in diameter. I don't know what that is in millimeters. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine, I do inches, it's fine.
Okay. Cool. Okay. About 1 to 2 inches in diameter of a limb or something that I can just kind of hack off with my hatchet and and fashion into not a nice spear, but something that I can something that
absolutely.
if I push it hard enough, it's gonna go in something.
Oh yeah, there is so many trees around you. You can easily either snap something off, find something on the ground, and find it.
Yep. And so I've got this poking stick that I'm just going to take with me. I'm going to go the direction of the deer. I got this suspicion that the deer ain't the ones that was singing.
Deers weren't singing.
Yeah.
You
But is it going in the same direction as the singing?
You can't really hear the singing anymore.
That's mysterious.
The singing is sort of not sure whether it's gone too far away or something to that effect, but you can see the deer up ahead, and it does seem to be making its way back towards that lagoon like pool area, and you can guess it's probably the main water source maybe on the island. And you can sort of almost stalk it through this undergrowth, and you move for quite a while, sort of being very, very careful with your footsteps. You've done things like this before, you have hunted before, you know how these sorts of things work. You're staying downwind, you're moving from tree to tree, and soon you do come to that lagoon and you see it drinking from the pool of water. In fact, you see two as they're drinking from this water.
What kind are they?
Sorry?
What kind are they? Two different.
Standard, just it's like one of them definitely looks like a more adult deer. The other one isn't like a baby, like a fawn, but it is slightly smaller.
So
Both female.
Okay, both doe. Okay.
And they're both drinking from this lagoon, and it's almost like a sheer rock face where this water is coming out. It is very much shaded by trees. You see that very grey, like gravelly, sort of beach-like pebbles and stones leading down into the water, and you get closer and closer, and you manage to stay completely silent. On the other side, you can see a rock kind of emerging from the water, and there is a harp just sat on the rock. There's no one there.
Right.
But it's very upright. It's fairly large, I'd say. I don't know, something about that big. It's not like a tiny little hand harp. This is just it's a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see you can't see it in detail because it's not out in the water. You could walk around the side of the pool to get to it, but it's at a distance from you right now.
Don't like that. Okay. I don't see any bucks around or anything yet.
No.
It's just the two doe. Well,
Just the two
well, I don't want to scare these particular deer off.
Mm-hmm.
And so while the immediate need of some good venison for breakfast would be nice. Them coming back to this place is very good, and maybe they'll bring some a buck or two tomorrow or later in the day if they feel like it's still safe over here. So I'm just gonna wait until they leave, and just wait patiently. I'm gonna pet the dog, and keep my eye on that heart. Make sure it don't dissipate into the ether.
It doesn't disappear or anything. It literally stays on this rock. You can see some water sort of dripping off it where the spray is coming off this tiny little, you can't really call it a waterfall, but there's water leaving the side of the rock. And after a while, you see the doe's ears twitch from side to side, and then they sort of bound off back into the forest.
Once I can't see them no more, then I'm going to get up from where I'm hiding, and I'm going to go inspect this illusion that somebody did a really good job with. Okay.
You can walk your way around. You don't even have to go in the water or anything, and you can see this pile of rocks. And you're sort of balancing on these rocks. It's not too difficult. You get to basically hop from rock to rock until you see this harp. And you're getting a little bit of like spray as you sort of get over, nothing to make you too wet. This dog has just bounded straight into the water and is sort of jumping towards you, then up on the rock and shakes off. So you get a little bit of wet from him. But you see this harp, and it seems to be made out of some form of white material. Like of almost grayish, yellowish white material. If you'd like to look at it more closely, you can roll a brains.
Let's throw some brains. I got a 0 in that.
Still roll pretty well. Are you picking it up, or are you literally just standing over it and having a look?
The first thing I do is for some reason it makes me kind of nervous. And so I'm just looking at it. I'm just going to look around because I kind of feel like somebody might have put it there. If I don't see nobody, then heck, I'll pick it up, both hands, and just put my hatchet, or I'll set the spear aside and the hatchet's in the frog on my waist, and I'll just hoist that sucker up.
You do look around. There doesn't seem to be anyone here at all, and everything is pretty much silent other than the flowing water. Even the breeze seems to have calmed down. The singing has stopped, the tune has stopped, but you hold this harp in both hands, and it's ridiculously light. It's very, very light, and it's got a very smooth feeling, especially on the arch of it. Down the main side, you can see what this material has had intricately carved these patterns in it. Nothing particularly obvious what it is. There's a lot of swirls. Again, it sort of mimics almost the ocean as well. You can see these carvings all down what looks to be like the handle, and there has been carved a handle in this. And as you're holding it, you realize this is a very familiar material. This is bone.
Okay. I'm gonna pluck one of the strings.
As you pluck the string, you hear that sound. That high-pitched sound as if you'd heard it playing earlier. And you almost see a ripple across the water, through the air. Not really across, but just leaves the harp. And it almost echoes in with the surroundings bouncing off like the sheer face of rock around you. Nothing else seems to happen.
Okay. I'm gonna pluck a couple more of the strings.
You pluck one or two of the strings.
I might just kind
And-
of run my hand down this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds beautiful. Very, very whimsical. And you're not plucking the strings hard, you are literally just running your fingers over. But Shepherd, Douglas, and Lamorna, somewhere you hear a harp being played. And it feels loud. Almost as if it's playing from your very core.
Does James seem to feel it too?
Yeah, you can see James looking around.
What's that?
I don't know. We've been hearing music for a bit. Sort of sounds like that, but stronger.
And you get a sense of direction from it after the full tune goes. It's almost like you see a ripple go through the air, and you see almost as if it reacts like a breeze. The song is coming from the forest, and all of the trees almost, for a moment, it's a very bizarre sort of warp as you see the trees bend in the direction and come back again.
Did you see that, James, with the trees and the? Did you see that too?
Uh-huh.
Well, we could stay and wait for it to find us, or we could go find it.
Well, if I'm honest, I don't really want to hang around here. And I can't imagine why it's sat there playing a tune somewhere in the forest.
Mm-hmm. You want to go?
He looks excited, but you can see the nerves sort of hitting. He's like,
Okay.
and he sort of just grabs the stick.
Here's the deal.
Uh-huh.
We're going to follow. The moment that I think that something dangerous is happening, we're turning around.
Okay. I wholeheartedly agree.
All right. And you'll turn around if I tell you to.
Oh, I will run.
All right. Not the captain, but for right now, treat me like I was a captain. Do what I say.
And he just salutes.
All right. Let's go. And we'll
Okay.
follow the sound.
You both move in the forest, and he clings to you very tightly. He doesn't hold on to you, but you see him brandishing this stick very closely. And Lamorna and Douglas, you hear this too, as you're not quite at the ship yet, but you do hear this.
Lamorna.
Yes, I hear it.
Right. Okay, right. Well, that's not weird at all then, is it?
No, it's certainly weird. I'm just trying to decide what to do about it.
Do I recognize the tune?
Don't recognize it, but this doesn't sound like a song. This sounds like a harp playing. You will have heard this maybe here and there.
Do you want to follow it? Or should we do what we said we were going to do?
I feel if Shepherd was here, Shepherd would say, "Oh, let's follow the wee music." And what with Shepherd being back on the beach with James, I've got a feeling that's just what Shepherd might do. I'd get bored if I was alone on the beach with a wee lad as well. So I don't think we need to particularly. I'd much rather go and get my herbs and spices.
You're right. Also, there was that box I gave to the captain with all the carvings on it. The one that we found on the wreck, on the sandbank.
Aye.
I didn't open it because I believed that would be something Captain ought to do, or at least we shall all be present. But
If there is a beating heart in it, I'm not about that.
no, that's fine. If there is, I'll deal with it. But it just, like many things about that ship, was rather odd and definitely seems connected to what's going on here, so I wouldn't mind finding it if it's still on the boat. So, if I leave you in the galley to gather what you need, I'll do an inspection of the rest of the ship. Just shout if anything strange happens, alright? I don't want you getting snapped up by some fey creature as well.
Alright, I'll shout if anything strange and dangerous happens, but otherwise I'll just tap you on the shoulder. Not to draw attention.
Sounds fine.
I'm gonna try and drown it out a little bit. And it's windy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. And I'll just burst into a song as we walk along.
You both start to head towards the chariot. You can see it now as you head closer and closer. And Wyatt, you're strumming this harp.
Yeah, try to play a tune.
Go
Like a
for
tune,
it.
like a tune from homeland.
You certainly can.
Sure, yeah.
And as you strum it, this almost feels like not familiar, but it feels very easy for you to play. As much as it's a harp, it's weirdly homely, and there's a very calm sensation that sort of moves across this lagoon. You actually see a doe sort of poke their head back through the forest just to have a quick look. They don't come any closer. They look. And the dog has sort of like settled itself on one of the rocks next to you as you're playing. And as you do, you're really feeling this harp in your hands. And there is one sort of, I guess, bone on here you actually recognize. Everything else seems to be carved out. But you can see that this harp is made up of what looks like a breastbone.
Like ribs and stuff.
Yes.
Hmm.
It is the definite size of the breastbone of a man. It has been fashioned, it has been decorated, it's not done in a very crude sort of fashion. It looks like a lot of care went into this. It doesn't look new, it doesn't look fresh, as to put it.
Right.
You had to feel it and really look at it to see it.
Wait a second. I feel like I've heard stories about this kind of place. Fairy tales and stuff. About this place where there's not any men. And there's only women.
Have you seen any women?
No, I hadn't, but I heard singing that sounded like women. And I have here the bones of a man, or what I assume is a man, I guess. Is either real good or real bad.
And as I said, you can see this doesn't look like it's been crudely put together. This looks to have had a lot of care put into making this. And as you sit on this rock, you can see The dog is sort of holding its nose down to the edge of the water and just bopping his nose in it every now and then to make a ripple. And as you're sort of looking at this harp, you glance through the strings back to the water where this ripple is. And in the water there is something very shiny, almost like a metallic surface.
Okay, I'm gonna reach down, pick
You
up the
may
metallic.
have to get into the water for it.
Right.
It's not very deep. It comes up to
Yeah.
the waist
yeah.
at most.
I've been in this water before. I'll hop in.
And you sort of wade into this water. The dog jumps in after you and is sort of like doggy paddling around you as you're doing this. And you manage to reach down. And your hand touches something very cold and metal. And it's half buried. And you can sort of dig around. This is just like shingle as you push it away. And a blade glints back at you. A blade that has been purposefully broken. And you can see both halves of this, something you've only really seen in stories, of this huge broadsword snapped in half. The hilt almost completely worn away. But the metal itself, it is polished, it looks well looked after. It is in this water, and from its form, you would even say it had come off the anvil that day, as it is purposefully snapped in half. It's not a break, this is a snap.
Right. I am a sealer there, not a sealer himself. I think to myself as I reach down. See if I can pick up the hilt. Hilt first.
Yeah, you pick up the hilt. You can see half of the blade buried one side, and the hilt and the top of the blade the other. You sort of pull this out of the water, and you just hear that water running off of it, trickling onto the surface. And this hilt is almost gone. It's you could literally put your fingers through some parts of it as it nestles. You can see lots of holes in it where the water is worn away. You can see what looks like maybe a barnacle or two sort of stuck to it. But the blade itself is fine. But this hilt is all but gone. You can tell it was once very ornate and very colourful. There is metal woven in there, but it's almost that's the only thing that has survived. And it has rusted.
Okay. Does it seem like it's sharp?
It seems very sharp. Like you
Very
almost
sharp,
like
okay.
you don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
Just
It's still sharp. Okay.
And Shepard, at this point, you know the route you're taking, walking with James. This is following what was described to you, where they found this water. And you're following this harp sound, and you can see what looks to be like 4, 5, maybe 6 doe sort of moving very slowly through the forest in a very similar direction to you. And the bizarre thing is that all around you there is now like a heavy smell in the air, and it's quite pungent, and it sort of hangs around you. And just in the forest itself, it's unpleasant. It's like wood rot and rust, as if something had sat underwater for a very, very long time, or like if it had sat in a black, thick mud. When James points, say,
There's a lagoon over there.
and we'll take our quick break there. So everyone get up, have a stretch, get a drink, take a break.
We'll be right back, everyone.
These fairies are messing with me.
See? Welcome back, everyone. We hope you had a fantastic break. We certainly did. Now about this island.
Well, Shepard and James, you come to the clearing, and you can see Wyatt waist deep in the water, and holding like only the top half, because you didn't pick up the bottom half, did you, Wyatt?
No, yeah, just
No.
the
Yeah, you
just the
can.
hilt. Yeah.
You see him holding the hilt and part of the blade of this huge broadsword. Like if this sat on a man's, the person who had to lift this, it would have had to have a lot of muscle when it came about. And you see the dog sort of paddling around him and barking from the shallows. And you also see this harp leant against the boulder.
What the hell, Wyatt? What is that?
It's a half a sword by the looks of it.
In the lagoon. Did you pull it out of the lagoon?
Yeah, right here.
Were you the one who played the harp?
Yeah, I found the harp too.
Did you notice what it did once it played?
It made the water ripple.
And the air and the trees. Okay. Maybe get out of the lagoon.
Is there something nefarious going on?
There's something strange going on. I don't know if it's nefarious or if it's benevolent.
Okay. Dog. And
This
I'm gonna
dog sort of like
snap him, and
drifts
I'm
past
gonna
you.
like wave him over to Shep, and I'll just very
Bounce
cautiously
through.
step on back in through the wade through the lagoon and head over to the shore where Shep's at.
At least you're less likely to drown on land. So,
Right.
You can see
That's true.
that this dog has picked up the other half of the sword. Is sort of running to it, just drops it in front of you.
like it is
Shepherd.
now.
Yeah, but you can tell that there's material wrapped around it. Like it looks like something was wrapped around it and it was laid in here purposefully. It doesn't look like someone has snapped it and thrown it in. You can see where there's a material that has maybe worn away, and it was the blade was wrapped in it. Maybe the reason it's so well preserved compared to the actual hilt, but he sort of runs in and just like drops it in front of you, and James is looking very curiously. And Wyatt, do you bring the bit you were holding out, or?
Yeah, I bring it with me.
Can't hear you, Shepard.
He was just miming. Don't touch that, James. That's an order. Don't touch it.
I'm not touching it.
And he sort of backs up, and he's still like holding his stick. So
Yeah. Keep that stick. Just watch our backs. Just make sure nothing sneaks up on us.
Okay.
and he turns around and he's brandishing his branch.
All right. And I'll start inspecting the blade and see if I see anything. Writing or anything that I can discern from looking at it.
Roll me a brain. So you picking it up one bit at a time and looking at it?
Well, I mean, Wyatt has the hilt part, so I guess I'm doing the other part.
Mm-hmm.
I am as good at brains as Wyatt is.
You look at it and it just looks to be very well forged. It looks like it's come straight out of the blacksmith. There are no particular markings on this or anything. This looks like it was used for a purpose. It does not look like it was made to look pretty.
Right. And it's not rusted.
Not rusted at all. It's literally just the hilt that has broken, which you can see in Wyatt's hand.
Is the cloth rotting or is it sort of fresh and clean?
It's rotting. You can see where it's sort of slowly disintegrating. In fact, as you sort of pick it up, some bits of it just fall apart.
Oh, okay. That's a new looking sword and old looking wrappings.
Yeah, there's a bit of mystery, I think. Also, I don't know where this harp came from.
Where did you find it?
It was just sitting there on the rock.
I look around just to see if there's any footprints or any indication that whoever was possibly playing the harp before might have been around recently.
You look around and you tend to only see you see a lot of paw prints, and you also mainly just see yours, Wyatt's, and James's footprints. You see Wyatt's leading out and in of the into the water.
Okay. Well, take it back to the camp? Maybe? All right. I'll carry the harp. You carry the sword pieces.
All right, sure.
All right. I'll pick up the harp, and actually, as I pick it up, if I notice that it's bone, I'll have another moment of like, oh, okay, or ooh.
You notice particularly human bone. Otherwise, other bones wouldn't really shock you in any way. But this is, you can tell it's the size of a man's breastbone.
So I pick it up and like, lady, forgive us. Oh, okay. And I'll carry it and sort of try to keep it out of James's view as much as I can, just so that James might not be able to figure out what it's made of.
Okay. And you both start to move. How are you carrying this sword, Wyatt? Like, is it one piece on top of the other, or?
Yeah, so I think what I'd probably do after I get some water in my hat and take myself a drink, for the morning, I might take my coat back off and I'll just wrap the sword very safely into the coat.
Yeah. You manage to wrap this up almost so you can't really see it anymore because your coat is quite big. So you manage to tie it up so you don't have to touch any part of the blade. And as you both turn to walk away, could you both roll a beyond for me, please? As James has sort of still got his back to everything, he took it very seriously when you said keep a lookout.
Yep. Ooh.
Okay. Wyatt first.
Oh, you know what? Can I use my advantage?
Yeah,
Can I
go
use
for
my
it.
advantage? Awesome. Okay.
Oh dear. Wyatt, you hear it first. You don't hear singing, you don't hear anything like that. You hear splashing in the water, a repetitive splashing. Not as if someone was in the water, but as if someone is throwing something in the water.
Like skipping racks?
Not quite. This seems to be a lot heavier than skipping rocks. It's like almost like a dead weight, something just bigger.
Okay, like tossing a watermelon into... Okay.
Kind of, but it's repetitive. And it's
Right.
definitely by the shore, it's not deep in the water.
I'm going to investigate then. I'm going to go take a look, see if there's some kind of dip or something that the water is hitting.
You turn back around as to where you were about to leave. Like, you're not super close to the water's edge anymore. You're sort of heading back towards the forest. And down by the water's edge, further to the side, not the side you were on, the opposite, there is a rock in the water. Not a huge one, maybe up to your ankle, sort of emerged from the water. And there is a woman hitting like what looks like clothing against rock, washing, hitting clothing against rock, washing and soaking. She sort of has her back to you, but you can see the material as it's going down. She's not singing, she's not saying anything. She's just cleaning.
And it's not Lamorna.
It's not Lamorna. It's a lot smaller than Lamorna. This looks like a very not an old woman, but a more frail woman. It's got that sort of feel to it, but you wouldn't at first sight think that's, it's an old washerwoman.
Also, you've never seen Lamorna doing laundry.
Yeah.
No. But I'm
That's
trying
why
to
he's
think
so
of
shocked.
But I'm trying to think of how many ladies I've seen on an island, and I thought of one. And so just making sure. Yeah.
Also, do you alert Shepard to this? Because Shepard saw nothing.
No, I'm focused in. Okay, wait. Is she? So she's doing like? Is she doing her laundry? Is she indecent right now?
No. She's fully clothed. She's in
Okay,
a long
all right.
skirt. She's in.
As long as it's appropriate, then I would walk up. I'd walk up. No, at a very safely, respectable distance.
Yeah, you
And
see her sort of like crouched down. She's definitely barefoot. She's got long skirts on. You can see a belt around her waist, shirt, and what looks like not a jacket, but some sort of waistcoat over. Her hair is tied back. This very bright red hair. She slaps this material against the rock. It's like she just hasn't seen you.
sure, I'll just. Excuse me. Good morning.
She says nothing. She barely stirs as you do this. And you just hear the continuous, and then she does start to hum it as she starts this material in the water.
At this point, Wyatt walked off and started talking.
Yes.
Did I notice?
You probably would have. I don't know how loud you talking. Why is this just a
Oh, yeah,
normal
yeah. I mean,
conversation?
it's-
Then
it's-
you
yeah.
would have heard Wyatt. Yeah.
I mean, I'm particularly clueless right now, so I just wanted to check.
Focusing on names.
Yeah. So do
Okay.
I see this woman?
You turn around and you see this woman beating clothes against a rock. Back to both of you. You can see Wyatt slowly approaching, not like right up next to her, but slowly approaching.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you hear me? Because I feel like I'm
And-
shouting pretty like.
Yeah,
Pretty
you
well
start.
enough. I mean,
yeah, you're being very vocal now and again. She is slapping these clothes against the rock, still humming. And as you're there, you're looking at these clothes, and there's a lot of like white shirts. There's dark coats and things like that she's watching. You see a huge basket next to her, and
If she doesn't respond to that second time, then I'm gonna stop my very slow approach and feel that something ain't right. I'm gonna turn around and look at Shep, make sure he's with me.
you can see Shepherd.
Yeah, all right. Now,
And you see James is still there, but he's not really. He's got his back to everything, so he's been told what to do. And where you're looking down at the clothes in her hands, and you see a redness leaking into the water as she's scrubbing them. And you see this blood seeping through all of these materials. She continues to hum, slapping it against the rock.
Wyatt, do you want to try to touch her?
I don't think that's a good idea.
I want to know if she's really there. Ma'am?
You think she's an
Ma'am?
illusion?
Or a ghost? Ma'am?
And again, there's no reaction, but Shepherd, are you edging closer as well?
Yeah, and I tell James to sort of stay back but within earshot and eye shot.
Yeah, he doesn't move.
Yeah.
He literally stays where you tell him to.
All right.
And you two see this material.
If you think she's a ghost, hey, strum that harp. You said it changed the wind and stuff, right? Maybe it'll, I don't know,
Get her attention. All right, I'll
or
pluck a note.
destroy her or something.
All right, I'll pluck a note.
As you pluck a note on this harp, you see her stop for a moment. The humming ceases. She sort of moves her shoulders, and it's almost like she looks around. She doesn't look back at you, and looks curiously around, and then reaches into the water and pulls out this big jacket that has got these stains. This almost like some of it's red, some of it's almost like a reddish brown of like what dried blood looks like, and holds it up and smiles as if she looks like she's done a good job. Putting it back in, got a rock against it, really scrubbing against this blood.
Did
and
I
you
recognize?
the captain's jacket
No.
Oh, I knew it.
as he puts it back. She puts it back in, scrubs again, and it's like, and throws it in the pile of this basket of
I'ma
just
draw my
piled up
pistol.
clothes and blood.
Drawing the pistol. And
For once, I agree. For once, I agree.
I'm cocking the hammer, and I'm gonna say, ma'am, I'm gonna need to know where you got that jacket,
And
and I need to know where the man that it belongs to is.
and there's a moment of quiet when she stops and puts the rest of her washing in the basket slowly. Most of it looks bloodied, some of it looks sandy. And she stops and stands up, still with her back to you. And you see her head tilt to the side slightly, and she digs her toes into the sand and turns around to look at you. And you see a beautiful woman. Very pale skin, bright red hair, sort of fall over one side. She looks at you. And looks down at her washing.
I look back at her.
Answer his question.
Ma'am, I'm going to need an answer.
You can see that her sleeves are rolled up and they're sort of like wet at the edges where she's really been cleaning in the water. And slowly she raises a hand and points directly at both of you. And this dog starts to bark and is almost losing it now. Like Wyatt, you can feel him tugging at your trousers, like trying to almost get you to pull away.
I'm gonna grab James.
You can grab hold of James, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not edged anywhere closer, but he is holding that stick for dear life.
Yeah. Wyatt, I think I need to take him out of here.
All right. Yeah, you take him back.
All right.
She don't appear to be armed.
No, but she might have other abilities. Actually, I'll say, James, run back to the fire.
And he sort of quickly nods, and he sprints.
Don't stop for anything. Run.
And he runs. Faster and faster until you see him disappearing into the forest. You notice all the deer has left. And you stand there. This woman with very sad eyes. Very beautiful eyes. And she looks at you.
Sad, beautiful eyes. Okay. Ma'am,
Who
you
are
appear to be sad or scared. Do you have people? Is there other people here? You might have hurt somebody. Some of our people came here on a boat.
Her lips stay very firmly shut, almost as if she looked like she's trying to say something or hold something in. And you feel that breeze again, and something strums the harp, almost as if the breeze itself had fingers. And all of these trees sway. You see that ripple of wind go across the surface of the water as she extends her finger and points at you. And then her mouth opens and she screams. And her mouth starts to stretch and drop lower and lower. And this ear-piercing scream, the dog is losing it. You feel like you have to clamp your hands over your ears. This is unbearable. This is absolutely unbearable. And it's almost giving you like a ringing in your ears. And I need you both to roll a beyond for me, please.
Yes. Yeah. I want to roll it with an advantage.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Shepherd.
20 hates me today. Really hates me.
Okay, I'll take the 9.
Shepherd, this ringing in your ears, it's this almost scream deafening. You feel like your eyes roll back into your head and you don't hear the sound of this scream anymore. You hear the sound of Ellen screaming. You hear Anne screaming as you fall back and you feel something almost in slow motion. You hit the floor and black out. And Wyatt Shepherd has just dropped like a rag doll next to you. And you look into these eyes and you can see the hair start to move almost as if it's floating underwater as she screams, this mouth getting larger, her eyes getting wider.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what this is about. That bit of wisdom that I gave a little bit earlier, that sometimes people just need to get shot. I think that this lady has a need, and I'm here to meet that need. So I got this ringing in my ears, and I'm gonna keep one hand up, and I got my pistol up here, but I know that I can replace that ring with a different kind of ring, and I'm just gonna extend my pistol. I'm gonna see if I can pull, get a shot off.
A brawn for me, please.
Yep. I'm gonna roll that one with my last advantage. Okay.
Yeah. You fire this shot and almost immediately bring your hand back up to cover your ears. As you feel this shot go off, it ricochets off you and it fires, and you see it hit this woman directly in the chest. The screaming stops as her eyes go wide, and she almost convulses backwards. She staggers. You can see her feet touching the water's edge. And you see that little, almost like waistcoat, the short sleeve waistcoat over her shirt, this red, start to leak.
The scream stops though?
The scream stops. Shepherd is still out. Shepherd is blacked out.
Right. So I give it that second where she's real surprised and she stops screaming and she's looking down at the red, and I'm looking up her at the red, and then I fire 3 more shots into her chest.
You watch it just as it sort of hits one side of her shoulder, another, and another. As she falls backwards, this crash into the water itself. And she drifts into the center of the lagoon, into this pool.
I'm going to gather up the basket of clothes that she had, and then I'm going to gather up Shep on my other shoulder. Reholster my pistol, of course. And
you swing like Shepherd over your shoulder.
I'm headed back to camp now. Not worrying about stealthing it or anything. Just we're just
both looking at it.
We just trying to get back to camp.
And Wyatt, you have that one last glance as you see this woman stare wide-eyed, just drifting, slowly start to sink into this pool. You can see the redness almost erupt up into the surface. Shepherd, you've been thrown over the back and you can feel the jolt as you're running. As you can see Wyatt running away from this pool, you're over his shoulder, and you look back at this body floating and disappearing below the surface. And up on the rock, you see a washerwoman washing her clothes, taking off her jacket and beating it against a rock, full of holes and full of blood. And you run. And you pass back out. Back at the ship, you have already got onto the ship. It seems to be pretty much how you left. You can see the damage. You can see how the mast has gone. Mast is completely gone. There is a hole in the side again. Like you said, Lamorna, it doesn't seem to be too damaging. It is not fully up on its side, but it's definitely tilted. You can see some of the sails in shreds. Again, look easily maybe sewn back together. This looks to be in pretty good shape considering what it went through. And Douglas, in your kitchen, you managed to find a lot of your gear. What is it you're looking for? I can't hear you.
Scrat's muted.
Would you look at that? I happen to be muted. The first place I'm going to do, especially if Lamorna happens to not be looking, if Lamorna's a little bit distracted elsewhere, I'm gonna go straight to that little secret hidey hole where I keep, like, you know, the jasmine and all the good stuff, and just see if it's still there.
Yeah, you sort of open this hidey hole, and water starts to pull out. You see a little crab sort of roll out as well. But your box actually seems to be pretty okay, and even if it's not, you know that these herbs dry out, but
Yeah.
it seems to be okay. Like, you have to sort of flick a crab off at the top of it, this little hermit crab that moves along, but it
Yeah,
seems
I'll
okay.
flick off the hermit crab and excellent, great. I'll put that exactly where my right alongside my whiskey bottle. And then I'll put the wooden plank back. Maybe I'll put the hermit crab back in there and put the plank back. Lamorna, what do you reckon? Are we gonna try and salvage this thing?
Eventually, it's our only way off of this island, so I suggest we don't break it up too badly. If we can find more of the crew, we might have a shot at fixing it.
Shepard would probably be the best bet, to be honest. He knows a whole ton about shipbuilding.
Aye, but you'll need
The rest-
you'll need a few more laborers to actually do the fixing.
Don't get me wrong, but even if we can't find anyone, perhaps we can use the parts here to make a smaller ship to get away, you know?
No, you're right. You're right there. It doesn't seem to be in any danger of drifting away with the tide. Not that the two of us could do anything about it if it was. It seems to be fairly well lodged up here. Did you find what you were looking for?
I found a few things, yeah. Alice, is there also, like, you know, I don't know, any food left around, any of the salted meats or biscuits?
The salted meats you can...
Is the coffee okay? Is the coffee okay?
I don't really have a lot of coffee then, but you would have... the biscuits look particularly soggy. They've sort of sponged up a lot of the stuff. The dry
they'll
meats looks
dry
fairly
out.
sealed. The meats themselves look pretty sealed. You can find a couple of... something that the captain would always insist on having, very expensive. There are a few oranges. Because people don't want scurvy. And you can
I
see,
keep
a
telling him that
cask of
wine will do just fine, but he doesn't listen to me. Is the wine okay?
The wine seems to be fine. It looks perfectly
It's like
sealed.
hardly
It was in these
anything
barrels.
happened.
If anything, it looks... everything is all over the place. You can see one of the barrels of beer is definitely burst and sort of flooded across the kitchen.
It's no great loss. It's probably going stale anyway. Actually, things aren't too bad here in the galley. I mean, there's a lot of food left. More than I can certainly carry in one trip.
Well, see if you can find, I don't know, have you got burlap sacks down there so we can pack up?
It's mostly in
Crates?
barrels, to be honest, so it might be better to just roll it.
Yeah, if you can cram what you think we need into one barrel, we can roll it between us back to camp.
How
I'm
about
gonna
2
go-
barrels? Because, you know, fluid.
Yeah, no, you're perfectly right there. I don't think we need that much wine, really. We did find fresh water.
Aye, but the scurvy, Lamorna.
There are berries on this island, fresh ones.
But the scurvy, Lamorna.
Just kind of wave him away. Look, I'm going to investigate the captain's quarters, see if I can find anything interesting. He was acting strange, wasn't he?
Aye, in fact, I'd like to come with you. We can come back to this. It all looks good. The biscuits are a bit soggy, but you know what them biscuits are like. It'll take half the sea to actually make them stop being hard, so...
I'll just leave him out in the sun for a while.
Exactly. And the tea and coffee seems to be alright as well.
Alright, well, come with me then and we'll check out Captain's room.
Alright!
And you head to the captain's cabin. You do realize where the ship is slightly at an angle. You're having to use a lot of the ropes to sort of hoist your self up. You manage to open the door and effectively have to slide yourself in. Everything here has been thrown to one side. Upturned tables, you can see what looks like maps. You can see a lot of navigating equipment that is all fallen over to the side. Some flagons. You can see all of the bedding. The bed is sort of built into the wall, so it's fine. But all of the sheets and everything there has sort of fallen to one side. The one thing is that the hook on the door, as you sort of move in, you have to push past the captain's coat to get in.
Right. Well, first things first. I want to try and find that box that I gave to him that I brought off of the dead ship.
Okay, can you roll either a balance or brains for me, please?
It's gonna be a balance.
Okay. You do, after sort of a lot of moving around and trying to get stuff up, under what looks to be under the bed, you actually see where a compartment is sort of snapped open, and you can see the box in there, along with what looks like letters and things like that, but they look like the personal effects of the captain rather than anything secret. You guess it's probably because these things are loose and in a storm they're going to get thrown around, but you can see that very ornate decorated wooden box.
I will retrieve that. And then I'll probably just scan around the rest of the cabin. Is there anything that strikes me as not being maybe in the character of the captain if we have sailed? If, like, we have been at sea a while and kind of have had time to judge what sort of a man
One
he is.
thing I will say is, you know, this man is... You've both sailed with him before, and you both know he is meticulous. Everything is kept in order. All of the ship's navigating equipment is there. Normally on a map, you know, he maps it out. He draws the journey, but on here, this is almost a bare map. It's like he didn't navigate at all. He had no set route.
And this is from when we left Perranporth.
Yes. It's like he's drawn nothing on the map. Normally, you know, he makes notes. He makes notes on the tides. He makes notes on the direction of where he thinks you are. But there is nothing. And every single paper in this place, which is normally like documents, it's blank.
Douglas, if you come and have a look at this. I'm
Aye.
starting to have a suspicion that our course has been somewhat ill-intentioned since we left port.
I'm also, as I'm heading towards Lamona, I'm not looking at the possessions. I'm looking at the woodwork in this room. Are there any runes or anything like that scratched into the wee wood, you know, by his hammock or something like that, making wee signs to some sort of devil or something?
You look around, and on the bedpost looks like where someone's just taken a knife and drawn a line. You know when you mark off 5?
Aye.
They're all the way up the inside. You'd have to not... You can see it now from the angle, but you think this is where someone has laid down in bed and just scratched into it.
How many lines?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You
How many-
can... It goes all the way up the bedpost. It's over 100.
I peek over Douglas's shoulder. Well, I have heard of the expression notches in the bedpost, but I am taken to believe this isn't that.
Aye, I don't remember the captain to be that sort, to be honest. It's over 100 here, though.
I look back at the maps and the documents and the papers. Are there kind of destinations, locations, things like other places that have just been kind of noted down as if it's maybe or lots of lists of coordinates or anything like that that the captain could have been trying to go through if he's gone to several places looking for something and maybe failed?
You don't see anything in particular. However, and you normally recognize the captain's handwriting. This isn't the captain's handwriting. There is a mark on one of the maps. You've seen maps like this all the time. It's like in the middle, and it's the ocean crossing. And it's almost that someone has just put a circle in the center of the ocean, put a question mark by it, the island. And it's not his handwriting. And
Okay.
then you look at other maps, and there's more circles. The island, question mark. The island, question mark. And it's everywhere, as if it's not in the same place every single time.
All right, he was definitely looking for this island. I don't know for how long, but this suggests quite some time. But this isn't his handwriting. Is there a chance he is possessed or something? Douglas, you were closer to him on our way here. Did you notice anything off about him? Anything at all?
I keep telling you, it's bloody weird that he steered right towards that singing. The
Other than
captain
his,
should know better than that.
other than his behaviour, anything noticeable visually or
Alice, can I make a roll or maybe do a flashback or something?
Lamorna's just staring at you because I know what I'm talking about.
Roll a beyond, and we'll do a flashback. You did a shepherd. You almost feel a flashback as you stand in the captain's cabin, and as Lamorna is talking to you, she's standing in the exact place where the captain stood. And you're back there. The room is all straight, the desk is upright, and the captain stands there, hands behind his back in his favorite jacket. Okay, Douglas. How are you feeling about this voyage?
Very confident, Captain. I got all the supplies that we'll need for the whole journey. We'll
Everything?
be... Aye, we got stuff for scurvy, we've got stuff for food, we've got coffee for the morning, tea for the evening, more bloody biscuits than any hardened sailor could possibly eat in one journey.
I've missed your cooking, Douglas. Believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying that.
Aye, it's difficult to make fine cuisine without fire or anything like that, but I like to think that my pea soup is pretty good.
It is pretty good. Don't tell
My
my wife
doughboys ain't bad either.
that. And he sort of smiles and he moves some papers around on his desk, and he sort of like rubs his brow, almost like he's got a headache or something. Like that. You know this man pretty well. He's normally very organized. You can see the things on his table seem to be all over the place. They're not as like, normally he's that person who's like everything in one pile. Ink pot is always in the drawer, whereas this you can see a lot of sporadic sort of behavior around.
Oh, Captain, you've never you had family or anything like that? You don't really talk much.
But there's James. You know, I need to look after James, otherwise my sister would...
Aye, I know about your sister and that, but, you know, I mean, like, you know, people you go home to visit to or anything like that. Is it just your sister?
No, I have a wife, Douglas.
Oh, that's nice.
She is. Lovely, in fact. Wonderful. Her name's, Lucy.
How long you been married?
10 years.
Aye, that's not bad. You get to see her much. I know how it is in the ships, you know.
I am away a lot.
Aye. Aren't we
and
all?
I send... You know, I make sure that everything is fine and set up at home before I leave.
Aye, of course.
And he does look sort of a little bit all over the place, but that's all you can really
Yeah,
sense.
Just
especially
getting...
from that role.
You sure everything's alright at home and everything, Captain? You seem a wee bit, you know, off balance, if you don't mind me saying. You look like you might pitch yourself out the window any second.
And he's like, oh, no, it is fine. I'm nervous. I'm given the responsibility of my nephew for once, and honestly, I don't know how seafaring he is.
Ah, he's a lad. He'll be a seafarer in no time. The ship, you know, the sea, it makes men out of boys.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
If anything, you've only got half a job to do because the ship work will do the other half for you.
And he slowly nods. And again, he looks pretty distant. He's normally very with it, normally very engaging, and he's normally always wearing it's not like a cheery smile, but there's a soft smile usually there through his clean sort of shaven face. But you also notice he's got a lot of stubble at the moment.
Hey, Captain, you don't look like you're looking after yourself so much. I'm gonna step forward and I'm gonna I'm gonna take from my pouch. This is at the beginning of the journey, right?
Yes, this is like
I'm going to
we'll
take
be leaving that evening.
a fresh apple turnover from the market, from my pouch, and put it on his desk. Say, you know, you can trust me if you want to talk. I'd like to use one of my confidant moves. Um, number of actions. I'd like to use move inside knowledge to discover the secrets of the player.
Okay, so what is it you're doing? Are you asking a certain question? Or
Yeah, I'm saying, you know,
you find-
I'm trying to make him open up about what's troubling him.
Okay.
I must approach in a context of genuine trust, frankness, or affection, and I must give up something that that a personal cost, and that apple turnover was my supper.
He sort of looks at it and looks at the sugar sort of dusted along the top, and there's a soft smile there, almost like the old captain's smile again. He's like, I've just had a bit of pressure. Douglas, sit down. And he sort of sits down himself and pulls a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses out of the and pours them both and slides one over
You
to
kindly.
you. I need this trip. I need this journey.
All right, that sounds pretty desperate, Khan.
Sort of pauses. I said I had a Lucy had a wife.
Oh,
And you can see that he's sort of playing with the wedding ring on his hand. And as he leans forward, you see almost appear through his jacket on a piece of leather another ring.
you know, there's no pressure from me here. This is just a, you know, a safe space if you need one. I'm not gonna. You can confide in me. You know, I'm confidential.
And he sort of like runs his hands through his hair. You can see the nervousness, like as he's moving his hands. He's one of them is very shakily over the glass, and the other now
Similarly,
sort of
if you
reaches
don't
for the
want
ring
to.
around his neck.
Similarly, if you don't want to open up, well, I don't want you to feel any of that pressure. You know what I'm saying?
She got very sick.
Aye.
And you see, everything was going so well.
Aye.
Everything was going very, very well.
You're a big success. You got your own ship and everything.
Yes, I used to think that was success. I
Aye.
used and then you know, you get a taste of family, and then you realize that this is you do this for them, don't you? This isn't what you actually want. This is and he sort of shakily takes like a swig of this whiskey, and you see him wince slightly, and you can smell that it's a very smoky, very good one. It's probably one that he hides more than anything, but he sort of rubs his face. He's like,
Like a villain, okay, Lila.
and he sort of just pushes the bottle your way, not really looking. Is that James is very important to me,
Aye.
and I need to make sure he's safe on this.
You worried about him
Journey.
becoming sick as well, are you?
No. I had a son.
Ah, I see.
Never reached James's age.
Is
and he
that
sort of
before
shakily
or
takes.
is that before or after your lady was sick? Don't mind me asking.
You know, um, and he starts to stumble over his words.
It's all right. Don't you fret now.
Child labor is a very dangerous situation. You know, it's something everyone is aware of, that it is not necessarily something.
That
Anyway,
taboo that we all close our eyes to. Yeah, I know. For some fucking reason.
a week and a half ago,
Aye.
Douglas, I had a wife, Lucy, and I had my son, Alexander. Now I have none. So I need to go on this journey. I need to go on this trip. I need to get away. It's not fair when, you know, when they're only a few days old, they don't really have a chance. Anyway, and he sort of quickly knocks back this whiskey, and sort of, you see him really wince. He's like, would you go and make some damn good pea soup or something?
And can we have the scene like change back to the disheveled room with Lamorna there?
It slowly moves, and you can see Lamorna in the same place where the captain was. Sort of not sat down, but stood. And you can see a shattered whiskey glass on the floor on the side, and an empty whiskey bottle that is sort of rolled over the side.
So Lamorna, yeah, actually, just before we left, the captain let me know some news. We were sharing some whiskey. Could even be that bottle right there on the ground. And the poor man. You know, just before we left, maybe a couple of weeks before we left, he lost his wife and his son.
Well, he covered that.
Now, obviously, I didn't tell you that, you know. I'm giving up a lot here, you know. Usually I don't tell people these things. I keep it to myself, you know. If he's alive and well, you didn't hear that from me, all right?
No, of course. There was no need to disclose it until now.
I agree.
I
don't want you to think that I'm somehow, you know, I like to keep the secret, if you know what I mean.
What? No, Douglas, I'm not that petty.
I know, I just, you know.
I respect that. I do. But it's, right now, I suppose it makes this situation make a little bit more sense. What if he wasn't just looking to get away? What if there is a connection? What if he believed there was some form of...
What if he was vulnerable and turned to the wrong sources?
Yes, precisely. After all, you know, the most difficult part of grief is feeling that you could have changed what happened.
Aye. And there's more notches on the wood than there is days since that meeting, for example. Yeah.
But you do know he's had this ship before. It's not like
I can't help but wonder if maybe he was counting days that he was away from them or something, although there's not enough marks there for all the journeys we've been on, you know? Oh, blimey. Maybe days away while she was with child or something like that.
Maybe. Well, we won't know until we find him.
Well, let's... Can you divine anything out of this lot? I say, looking around at the mess.
Not apart from the fact that it seems he or whatever was influencing him was looking for maybe this place we have ended up. Maybe this island itself. This might have been exactly what he was looking for.
Aye, it seems
hold
that
on.
way.
And can I try and open this box that I've already got wedged on my arm?
Yes, it looks very sealed, almost like it's had a key beforehand rather than anything else, but you can try and open this. Could you roll me a brawn, please?
I can do that. Okay.
Okay. You managed to sort of like. Well, how are you opening
A
it? if it
praising
is-
look from Douglas. Very nice.
I think she takes like a skinning knife and just tries to insert it into the lock. And it's more leverage than fine lock picking, certainly, but there is some care going into it.
Yeah, you sort of jam this blade into the side, and you're sort of trying to be careful, and you're edging it up, and then you hear a snap of the lock, and the lid you realise you can lift open. And there's
Fancier than I would have done. I'd just stamped on it.
Well, I worried there might be something breakable inside.
and you look in to the box, and in there is a piece of paper. And there's a moment when your hand touches it that you get a strange, familiar feeling from it.
Oh, there's definitely she definitely twitches then. A bit of a shudder. I have a look, too curious.
It's, you slowly fold open the paper, and also in there you see what looks to be like a locket or something, more like a pendant than a locket. It looks like maybe it opens, you're not too sure. And you certainly recognize that. And the letter is done in very elegant handwriting. Very elegant handwriting. And it's a contract of service. It's a contract of your service. And the locket is from the woman who wrote this. But it is not worded in her words, but her husband's. You get the feeling that she was the one who wrote it, whilst probably being stood over.
Lamora just stares at this for a few moments, then she kind of takes the locket out with these jerky movements, almost as if she's kind of fumbling with it, and tries to open the locket.
You open the locket. It seems very easy to open once it's done. It just sort of clicks, and it's this very spherical, very classic, perfectly circular locket, and you can see small sort of forget-me-nots carved onto the outside, sort of engraved. And as you open it, there's a picture of a man and a woman you recognize. So on the inside, in particular over the man's face, it looks like someone has opened this before. And it's like, as someone has opened it, they have left a bloody fingerprint over his face before closing it again.
Do I know where that fingerprint has come from?
No.
So what's in there? Any sort of, I don't know, witchy business? Maybe a small bundle of sticks and a skull or something, or...
Hold on a second. And I quickly look under the paper. Is there anything else in there?
There doesn't seem to be anything else in there.
Well,
Before things kick off, thank you very much, the Maharishi, for that tier 2 sub, 7 months in a row. You have advantage to gift to a player of your choice. Let's know where you want to go, and
Lamorna, I will say you see your own signature on the paper. Your own handwriting.
Does that seem to make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't really be here.
No, that doesn't make sense. This is... Well, this certainly didn't have any business being on that ship. And she starts by she snatches the locket and just stuffs it in her, trouser pocket. No. No, this is... Come and look at this. What do you see? And I just basically thrust this piece of paper in his face. Read to me what it says.
Props, bro.
Douglas, you see a form of contract written requiring Lamorna's services basically.
Aye. Contract for your services. I assume this is for the journey.
No, you don't understand. This came out of the box I took off of the beach ship on the sandbank. This came from there. This was on
This
a ship
isn't-
hundreds of years old.
Well, this wasn't from this ship.
No. I brought it aboard. I hadn't opened it yet. I was going to wait for the captain to look at it, and it's been here ever since. But it came from that ship. It doesn't make sense.
Alice,
Yeah?
if I was to imagine for a second that our ship had rotted for, say, 50, 100 years, would it suddenly seem a lot like that ship that was wrecked on that island?
No.
No. No similarity.
No.
Okay. Alright. Alright. Okay, so you've got a contract in a box from an old ship. Not a vessel you recognise? The sea can age things real quick. Maybe some other company you work for on the ground.
No, this was a private contract. There's nothing else in this room. We should go back to the camp.
Lamorna. And I'm gonna take from my pocket my special spices. You know, if you've got anything that you need to say or anything that you want to, you know, confide in anyone about, you can tell me. I've got some special spices that I could put on your dinner to spice things up a bit, you know.
Are you using your magic powers?
Your wily ways.
Well, I don't feel like I can force you, the player, in this context. But if you would be amenable to the confident
certainly.
trust
I would
thing,
be. Yeah, I'd be interested to see if it's something you roll for. What happens?
I don't think I actually have to roll
Oh, it just
for
happens. Okay.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that is just an ability.
It doesn't say anything about rolling. Just
It's
says I
not.
have to give something up, and if we're alone together, and I approach you in genuine trust, confidence, or frankness.
You just have to accept, as in, if you don't want spices, you can say no to spices, and he'd have to give you something else. It's like an actual bargain.
Have a bang on that. It's really good.
I think she like curiously, and then
It's turmeric.
I have never smelled anything quite so pungent.
Aye, and look, it turns things right yellow as well. Look at my fingertips.
Will that come out?
Aye, it'll come out after a wee while.
Ooh.
Turn your tongue bright yellow.
And she's
Good for
generally
pranks.
kind of. This has just jerked her out of her headspace so suddenly. All right.
But what I'm saying is, you know, you can trust me.
I do. I do trust you. I trust you more than most of the rest of this crew, that's for sure. Look, before I came to work on this ship, I was employed by a fairly well-to-do family on the mainland, on the outskirts of Perranporth. My services were terminated shortly before we set off, for unrelated reasons. But it was. They weren't merchants. They weren't seafarers. There's absolutely no reason this should be aboard a ship. Nevertheless, one that's been.
This is the
marooned
same
for years.
contract.
Yes. I signed it about 10 years ago. And it's nothing that's... Well, like I say, it was 10 years ago.
I mean, these unrelated circumstances that led to you being let go, what was it, just contracts up, we found someone else, or?
No. My employers died.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yes, lady of the house. Well, let's just say similar circumstances to what happened to our dear captain. She passed, and her husband, well, he shot himself.
Oh no.
So I was no longer in employment.
That will do it, yes. Quite messy too.
Yes, so you can see why I was quite keen to get away to sea. Wasn't a house I wanted to spend much more time in.
Aye, yes, I can see that. Alright, so, and this is the contract to them.
Yes. A very long time ago now. This makes no sense.
Aye, I kind of get my head around it.
Do I recognise this box at all? Is it anything in the sort of style of furnishing they would have had? Like, whether...
At most, you may think maybe the wife had a jewelry box that's similar, but it's not specifically going, I know this box. You don't fully recognise it, but you start to look it over. When, probably Douglas first, you hear yelling. You hear yelling from outside the ship. Like, you hear James's voice, Douglas, Tremora! Like, as he sort of comes tearing out of the forest. You can hear him, and you can see from one of the windows at the side, you can see this young boy almost just move, his legs moving faster probably than his body can go, with his coat flaring backwards, a stick in his hand, sweat on his brow, and hair like all over the place.
Poke my head out that window. Why in the heck are you doing out here? Do you need your heat examined? You're supposed to be off a shepherd.
And he sort of like stares at you and says, you don't understand, there's trouble.
What kind of trouble?
There's a woman down by the road, and he just starts like rambling about this woman down by the lagoon, and Wyatt had his gun out, and there was gunshots when he was running away. He thinks they're in trouble. He thinks someone's gonna die.
Right. I stuffed the contract just in my shirt for now.
Come on, let's go to the galley and grab some food quick. We'll just take a light run this time.
Right. Yes.
We'll take the
Gunshots,
biscuits
though,
because
we
we need to
should-
dry them out, but everything else will keep pretty well. It's pretty well up here.
At this point in their story, have I shot this woman yet?
Oh yeah, you shot the woman. He heard the
Okay,
gunshots go off. Is
Douglas-
why he's in more of a panic.
Gunshots though. If they're being attacked, I need to go help.
Look, the Morna. We can help as much as we can help. Doesn't put responsibility on us just yet, okay? I'm sure Wyatt and Shepard are very capable. We'll see what we can do. We don't get anywhere by rushing about.
No, I suppose you're right. Right.
The whole point was to come to get food and stuff, so let's get at least a little. And then we can see what's happening.
Right, just show me a barrel and I'll roll it back.
Alright, here, take this one. I'm gonna pass her the barrel of salted pork, and I'm gonna take a burlap sack full of biscuits to dry.
Yeah, you can drag all of this out of the ship or roll it out to the ship. You see James still tearing towards you. He was yelling from quite a distance as you see him running. He's caked in sand. Half of it is sticking to him. You can see his knees are very dark where he looks like he's fallen over in the forest at some point, and there's mud sort of all up his legs. And he comes screeching to a halt. He's like, you don't understand. There was a woman down there. There was a woman down there.
Alright, we're on our way.
What, James? What exactly? What happened? What makes you think the others are in danger? If it was just this woman.
I heard gunshots.
Right.
First one and then 3 more.
Why? What was she doing? I don't understand. I mean, I do understand Wyatt, but
he is white. He is pale as anything. He's like,
You don't understand. Shepard was scared.
Douglas, something's not right. I want to go. I want to just see what's going on.
Yeah, well, we're on our way.
and
At your own pace, be wary. Running towards danger, you might just find some you don't expect.
I have already found a lot I didn't expect today.
Exactly, so let's take our time about it.
And James is like,
This way.
and starts heading back in the direction he came. And Wyatt, you are running through this forest. You can feel your heart pounding in your chest, like your breath is getting ragged. You're far away from the lagoon right now, but you're sprinting back through the trees. You can definitely feel the weight of Shepherd on one of your shoulders and the sword in the other as you are running and running. What's going through Wyatt's head right now?
Well, first, dog is with me, yeah?
Yeah, dog is like by your side, barking the entire time, but still running.
The thing that's in my head is, first and foremost, if Shep ever like shifts in weight, because I'm carrying a couple sacks of potatoes up on my shoulder right now, and so I'm just making sure that this, dead weight person, that I highly respect is up safely on my shoulder, and I'm just keeping up with the shift in weight as I run as fast as I can, and hanging on to this crazy artifact. Did I manage to grab the harp as well?
Oh yeah, that would have been like hooked underneath an arm or something.
Okay, all right. And so I just got this bundle of stuff under the other arm, but the thing that I can't get out of my head is the abyss of that lady's mouth, as her jaw went further than it was supposed to.
And you're sort of trying
in like
to
a way that
shake it.
isn't good.
Yeah, like you're sort of trying to shake it off as you're running, and you can feel the sweat running down your forehead and sort of not quite into your eyes, but you can definitely feel it on your brow when you hear James yelling. And you can see him at the edge of the forest, just coming in and yelling, "They're here, they're here!" And Douglas and Lamorna, you can see Wyatt, and looking knackered, has bundles of things under his arm and Shepherd over his shoulder.
Wyatt, what happened?
There was a woman, and I'll drop the stuff, and I'll set Shep down with, now that I got a free hand.
What's wrong with Shepherd?
You're out of the forest right now. You're like just coming up to the sand dunes.
Right, yeah, on the sand. This woman screamed, and then Shep fell over. There was something in my head, and I think it was in his too. It was like a ring.
All right. What? Did he fall back? Did he hit a rock with his head? Or what? Why is he out?
I think that woman did something to him. I mean, it was excruciating painful.
Do we have any like whiskey or anything alcoholic and strong that we brought back with us?
You could have definitely found a few bottles of something.
I splashed something over Shepherd's face. Something strong.
Yeah, Shepherd, you do get this horrible taste in your mouth, like probably like up your nose, in your mouth, like it was a shock more than anything. You can come round.
I wake up with just yelling, just like a anguish yell.
You hear the screams slowly die away, literally, as you wake up.
And I start, probably too weak to actually stand up, but I start looking around for
Shepherd,
Ellen and Anne.
No, stay still, stay down. You're fine. Wyatt got you away. What happened?
It was Ellen and it was Anne, and they were screaming, and they're here, and I have to do something. I have to do something.
Ooh. Please, you're going too fast.
But they were screaming. And then I fell, and I couldn't do anything, and they were screaming, and I don't know what happened, and I don't know where they are, and I don't know why they're here, and I have to do something.
I'm gonna pull up my pistol, and I'm gonna ram the barrel down, eject the spent bullets, the shells, and put in a few more rounds. I'll cock it back, give it a spin, and I'm gonna nod to Douglas as he approaches as well, and I'm gonna take a little bit of a post into the forest. I'm gonna see if there's any more.
Any more?
Any more? That's right. I shot the one that did this. also take a look, and I'll toss the clothes, the basket of clothes down.
What we got here?
You recognize any of that? She was washing blood out of it.
This is the captain's clothes. Hey, Lamorna, you're gonna want to see this.
I have a look.
See the captain's jacket, bloodstained.
Are there any visible tears or marks where some wound might have been made?
It doesn't look like any visible tears. If anything, it's just the colour that is giving that sort of effect.
Alright, I take a deep breath and sit back, and I just want to try and think, is there anything I can, like, given everything that I've heard, is there any explanation, any even folklore or supernatural, anything that would potentially explain some of what's been described? Something that Lamorna might know.
You're mainly from the Cornwall area, aren't you?
Yeah.
Then no.
Okay.
Alright, Lamorna, I don't suppose you found your rifle on that ship at all, did you?
Hat on my back, it's strapped to across my back.
I don't think Wyatt should go alone. I can go along with my cleaver if you want, but
Can you stay and watch over the shepherd?
aye.
And I just have my face buried in my hands and I'm sobbing.
I'll go and put a hand on Shepard's shoulder.
I turn to follow Wyatt, but before I kind of set off, I stop. Is the fire still burning like embers? Is it still kind of...
Oh yeah, you can see it. You can see James was sort of had sort of like a hand on Shepard's shoulder, but is starting to try and feed it again, trying to be helpful.
Alright. I stop and then pull the contract out of my shirt and just pass it to James. Use this for some kindling.
Okay. And he sort of just takes it and jams it into the fire, and you see it flare up at the center, this sort of bluish green flame as the ink gets soaked up into the heat.
And leaving the box, but not the locket, which I've got safely tucked away, I will follow Wyatt.
Okay. Wyatt and Lamorna, you head into the forest. Both have guns at the ready. Douglas, are you helping Shepard to the camp? Like you setting Shepard down.
Yeah, I'll probably sit next to Shepard. And not just kind of. I'm not gonna try and. Clearly, they just need time, so I'm just gonna make soothing sounds. Maybe Whiskey Johnny, start singing gently, you know. Oh, whiskey is the life of man. Whiskey for my Johnny, oh, and like just be
And
there.
James sort of edges a little bit closer to Shepard, poking this fire. And Douglas, as you sort of sing away, you can see another pile of what looks like Wyatt's coat, which has got something else wrapped up in it. And Lamorna and Wyatt, you head into this forest, very aware. Is there anything in particular? Are you following the same route back, or are you just looking?
Ish, yeah. Really, I'm gonna. The first thing I'm gonna do is command the dog to basically communicate with her, make sure he knows that like we're on a hunt right now, and we're looking for more of the screaming lady.
Yeah, he is sort of like very close to the ground. And like nose is very alert. You can see his ears twitching.
Yeah. And so you would Lamorna, you would hear me kind of talking about the lady with the big jaw to the dog, making like hand motions and stuff. And so then I would lead Lamorna. If the dog took me somewhere that wasn't the way back, then I would follow dog. But
He seems
if
to be
not,
following your direction more than anything.
if not, then we're headed back to the basin again.
Okay. And sorry, go on.
So I follow quietly.
You can both move fairly quietly. Even the dog isn't barking. Nose is to the ground, but moving silently.
And I'd like to be close enough to the stream to where if we see the body of the screaming lady floating down, then we'd be able to.
Oh yeah, you can almost walk alongside it effectively.
Yeah.
Keep a safe distance, but walk alongside it.
Yeah.
And Douglas, you're sat by this fire, Shepherd sort of head still in hands. James is sort of leaning against Shepherd, dozing a little bit. But Douglas, can you roll a beyond for me, please?
Aye, I can. Last time it went so well.
You you're poking at the fire, and you hear a startled, like almost scared gasp of as you look up, and further down the beach you see a young girl in a white dress as Elizabeth stands there, arms full of like branches and sticks.
Hey, you! Don't you move!
And she freezes.
I'm gonna run up
And-
to them.
Yeah, you start running towards Elizabeth. And somewhere
Shepherd, snap out of it! It's that wee lass!
Somewhere in someone's diary that's been written down is though its make was wondrous and the sound was beautiful, the harp is made from the breastbone of a man. It will allow others to play it. However, when it's set down, sometimes it plays and sings alone, with a melancholy voice, a sad voice. It sings only one song, a sorrowful one, the sorrowful tale of a cruel murder of a man whose breastbone it is now fashioned from. And that is where we'll leave this week's session. Yay!
It's a good thing none of us are murderers then.
As far as you know.
Well, everyone, what a show. Check out our social links. Come and join us on Discord, talk about the show. There is a channel dedicated to... Oh, hello. Did I spell that wrong? Streamlabs, did I stutter?
So sure you did it right.
I did do it right, but for some reason it's not working. That's very interesting. Has something turned off the commands?
You did change the donation thing, did that?
I did. Hang on, let's try again. There we go. Check out our social links. There is a channel in the Discord dedicated to this show. You can come along and scream about it with us there. Also check out Twitter and YouTube. Twitter, you can come and get a game, and YouTube, you can come and catch up. You say we all know where to find you, Maharishi, but I see new followers in the chat today, and we invite you to come and be part of the community. Also check out our sponsors, Hero Forge. Big exciting announcements at the minute. Very soon there's going to be a Kickstarter release. We're going to have new stuff to show you. There's going to be like colored prints. It's going to be amazing. Kenji, do we have more games today? Yes, we have 2 games, one at 6 and one at 10 p.m. EST. We'll see you there. Also check out the Deck of Many, who made this lovely Deck of Many Things. Oh, we've drawn the Rogue now. The Rogue animated cards that move while you cast. You can also, the spell cards, and the Humblewood setting, which allows bird play and stuff like that. And Mage Hand Press. Mage Hand Press are a one-stop shop for 5e content. Check out their Dark Matter expansion for 5e in hardback, available now on their store. Use my code for a discount. Until next time, keep evoking emotions, everyone, and we'll see you later on. Bye. Watch the credits. Check out all of these beautiful people's wonderful things. See ya.